Welcome to Lessons from the Field, the podcast where we dig deep with restaurant industry leaders to uncover the strategies, insights, and stories behind their success. Whether it's operational excellence, guest satisfaction, or leveraging data for growth, we're here to bring you actionable lessons straight from the experts.
Hello there. I am Emily Bennett and with Black Box Intelligence. I have been with Black Box for about 6 years. And prior to that, I call myself a recovering marketer. I was in the marketing space for the restaurant industry. And so a fellow marketer has joined me today. Brandon, thank you so much for being with me and for talking all things guest data, guest interaction, guest feedback. You want to give us a little background on kind of who you are, how you kind of came up in the restaurant industry before we get started?
So fun fact, my first job was, of course, at a restaurant like many of us. Chuck E. Cheese opened up a brand new one, started as a cashier. So that was my introduction to the restaurant world. From there, my career has really been, all about kind of serving people. I joined Torchy's 5 years ago.
Okay, so Torchy's is an amazing brand. Cool, y'all have a really cool culture and just this very distinctive and bold personality. Can you tell me just, how are you able to, we're going to kind of bring this into our conversation topic, but taking that distinctive brand and bringing that alive in your guest feedback or your guest response. Tell me a little bit about how you were able to craft that voice.
For the brand, from an edginess standpoint, from where does that edge come from? How do we bring the hospitality aspect of it all together and really make sure that we're treating our guests the right way? It really, like the edginess of the brand and kind of the way, I describe it is it comes from the authenticity, right? Like we are a very authentic brand. It's the authenticity of the people. That work here, that started the company, that really brought that to life, right? So we've all got a little bit of an edge to us. We're all are having a little bit of fun, and that's what the edginess from the brand is all about. It's that authentically, like, who we are as people comes through in who the brand is. And so that's where, for us, people have always mattered, right? It's been important that we treat people the way that they want to be treated, the way that we want to be treated. And so with that, we only hire really people that authentically care about other people, right? So here's the deal, like people can tell when you're faking it, when you're giving them a sales pitch, when you're being nice just to be nice. Right. So if you're just not authentically someone who cares about others, who cares about serving others, cares about taking care of other people, like Torchy's isn't the spot for you. Right. Mm-hmm. And so like really that edginess is just being real, having a little bit of fun. And, we all, will say things that maybe would make us blush a little bit. Right. That's why you go into our restaurants and you might see something on the menu that makes you blush a little. But, it's more on the like little bit of a wink to, that, hey, we're just being real here. So to kind of say all that of like, it really is about the people, and we care authentically about it because we want you to enjoy the time that you have with us. Torchy is a brand where we want you to come in, let your hair down, and just be yourself, right? Going out to eat is an escape for everybody, whether it's a stressful day, running around with kids, or, regular stress of life. We want you to feel comfortable when you're in our restaurants. And so like, that's how that comes to life. And that's, really has been a real part of who that is. We bring the people in that we want to be around, that care about the things that we do, and that others want to be around. So that's really kind of where that piece comes from.
I think that's awesome. And you certainly have infiltrated our world. We last year, I think I told you we did the all you can eat queso, where I got queso every day for a whole year based on a promotion you were running. And let me tell you, I gained 20 pounds, but it was well worth it because the queso is amazing. Taking that like authenticity that you have and wanting to connect with that guest, part of that connection is hearing their feedback and being able to respond to that feedback, not only in the platform or in your own platform, wherever platform, just to those reviews generally, but also really meeting them where they are and understanding their experience. Tell me how you guys are able to understand that experience. Just full transparency, Torchy's does use our guest intelligence product. They do reply to their reviews within the platform as well for all those that are listening. But let's take it a step further and tell me how you're able to kind of operationalize that feedback and bring it into those individual managing partners worlds and how you're able to really get to initiate change at that individual four walls?
Well, number one, when, our philosophy is that if a guest takes the time to reach out to us, we owe it to them to reach back out to them. And so we respond to every single guest that reaches out to us, whether it's about an amazing experience they have, or of course, if we need to recover, make a tweak, make a change. So I'll just put that out there right there. Like, that is our responsibility, is to take care of our guests when they reach out to us online, when we're not right next to them, just as much as we take care of them if they were sitting in front of us or next to us at the restaurant.
I love that perspective.
So
I could just get you to pause real quick. Like, that is,
yeah.
They're a guest always, right? Just because they aren't actually in your four walls, they visited before, they could be a potential guest, if maybe it's a DM situation. But I love that you're making sure to still listen no matter what. So thank you for that perspective.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, so when it comes down to how do we make sure that our managing partners, who are our general managers, if you will, to take it out of, our internal terms here and have some fun with it. The way that we really look at that is, number one, all of our managers have total visibility into our GuestXM platform. So they can see whenever their guests are reaching out, they can see the comments, they can see all of that piece of it. And so they are empowered to respond and reach out and recover guests. But our guest relations team acts as a complete support system for our guests and for our managing partners and our managers in our stores. And what I mean by that is our guest relations team takes point in responding to and recovering guests when they reach out to us. And we stay in constant communication. Whenever we communicate with a guest, the management team knows exactly what we've communicated back and how we've recovered. And I know that's a little bit different philosophy from maybe what some other concepts are doing, but our approach with that and the thought behind that is by kind of running point there, is that our managers, our managing partners, and our hospitality managers, our kitchen managers can then take that time to really focus and spend time with the team, analyzing and assessing the operations and taking care of the guest, right? So they're spending the time where these things are coming from, right? If there is an issue, they're already recovering it. If there's a breakdown in operations, they're seeing it. If there's a root cause to something that may be going on, they're working on fixing it, and we'll help bring that to life and take care of the guest and then follow up after that. So what we really look for is, as I think everybody knows, is we hear a lot of feedback from a lot of different channels, and it runs the gamut, right? There's a lot that comes in, and what you really have to do is really work on identifying the themes that are coming through, right? Not everything that comes in, it might be a one-off instance, a quick fix in that moment, or, hey, we made a small mistake, let's recover that. Now, when we're looking like totally operationally, whether that's for the company as a whole or down to that store level, it really is about identifying those themes, right? Bringing those themes to the surface and then really digging into what those root causes are and partnering with the store teams on that. So, like I said, our teams have full visibility into that. And our HQ teams are committed to totally supporting that. And it's a complete partnership from that standpoint. We are partners together. It's not someone watching over the shoulder. It is a total partnership, and that goes completely both ways for us.
Yeah, that's it's so great when you have a system that's fully dedicated and fully on the same page. You know, that's one of the things we hear a lot from our customers is that because our products hit so many different kind of silos, normal silos within a restaurant company. So with workforce, and then with financial, and then also now we're in this kind of marketing operations space with this guest intelligence product. I say now, like it hasn't been around for years, but let's go with it. So it's great to hear that you guys are all on the same page, and certainly that has to start from the top, right? So it's the fact that you're able to get everything on that same page. So speaking of that guest feedback that you're able to operationalize, is there one that comes to mind that you've gotten this feedback and then you've had to like either take it one way or the other in within the organization to make that change?
Oh boy, do you want to hear wild stories? You want to hear how we kind of broke some things down operationally? Man, we could spend all day with this. I'll give you two.
Give me your top 10.
Yeah.
Can we do a David Letterman moment? Here's a top 10.
Oh boy. I don't know if I can say some of it on camera here. Here's what I'll say. There's a couple of things that I love the most about really taking the time to listen to our guests and take action on it. So I think all of us love to hear the stories of how our work and our companies impact the lives of others, right? And we can all get a little jaded in our work, and it's just, this is my day-to-day, this is my job, this is what we do. And we can all do that when things get wild and crazy. But there's a couple of examples that are some favorites, and our chief operating officer, Jay Wald, also kind of likes to share this story too. But we hear from folks that were first introduced to Torchy's like back in college, like it was their college hotspot. And now they'll reach out to us and let us know like, hey, you're my spot, you always have been, and now I'm bringing my kids into the restaurant to make it our spot. So it's kind of that, like you talked about a core memory. It's that, oh man, that's something that actually, what we do does matter, and it does make a difference in people's lives, and it does add value for folks. Another fun one was, hearing from someone that actually lives in my neighborhood I don't personally know, I just figured it out, was actually like posting her love and reaching out to us, talking about how much she was craving Torchy's during her pregnancy, which was then very fun to kind of take it that next step further. We sent her out like a whole kit and thanked her in a fun little deal. And then to see that then come to life later on like our neighborhood Facebook pages, and people get excited. Like, again, those sort of things, like great reminders, keeps us, aligned to like, we are out here to make a difference, right? What I will say is, when we do listen to our guests outside of just all of the fun stuff like that and those memories, like when you actually sit down and listen to them, like we can actually make a difference in our business that then actually matters and like removes a pain point, right? So, there's a lot that goes on from a restaurant standpoint, and so many things. So one of the things that I always, like to kind of smile back on, and is a good reminder, is we were getting a lot of guest feedback that we're having some issues with our accuracy of our to-go orders. And so we're like, gosh, why is this happening? Like, we're pretty sound operationally. Like, what is going on? So it was kind of taking that step back and like, okay, let's really start to dig into this, right? And so I said themes earlier. We found two themes. Two of the themes were, one was that people were getting their queso, but they weren't getting their chips. And when it came to tacos, if it wasn't accurate, it was folks ordering our trailer park trashy, which I'm sure anybody that's been to Torchy's, like, that's what you have to order at least your first visit, right? That's what we're known for. And so
very
we're taking a step
order,
back,
right?
Right, totally normal order. And we're going, these are like key menu items for us. Like, how are we having this odd little thing going on? Is it just that people order this a lot? Is that why it looks like this is an accuracy issue? So we took a big step back, and this is a good reminder for all of us. And it's something we even challenge, our operators in our stores do, is we took a deep breath, took a step back. All right, I got to look at this from the guest journey. Why don't I experience this on how the guest does it? Our managers shop each other's stores all the time. They take the time to step back throughout the day and really walk through their restaurant as a guest to see it through their eyes. And so we did that when we really started to dig in. And what we noticed were a couple of weird things going on. One, we didn't have we had very minimal issues when someone ordered a trailer park trashy, right? Mm-hmm. Which is one of the menu items. But when they ordered a trailer park and modified it to be trashy, that's where the accuracy issues were coming in. So we're like, okay, all right, we got to dig into that.
That's so key, because then you're seeing a difference between, like, is the technology impacting the order, or is the operations impacting the order? That's such a key difference there.
Exactly. And so when we then took that step back and looked at it from a guest journey standpoint, what we realized is that when guests were ordering, the way that it was appearing on our online menu is the trailer park trashy and the trailer park were not showing up right next to each other. So one was showing the trailer park trashy itself was sitting below the regular trailer park that you can then modify, right? And so what we did is make sure that they are right next to each other, which then for guests that are going to order the trailer park trashy, they don't have to do anything but push the button and they're all good. So smart. That was a super simple fix, right? And it was one of those little ones. Now for the queso no chips, the one that was baffling us, like, how can you put queso in their order and not give them chips, right? Like, what is going on? Well, we kind of did that whole guest journey thing and what we realized is a lot of the issues that were happening, or where that was happening, is the guest thought they ordered the app queso with chips, but in fact, they were ordering the side of just queso, which doesn't come with chips, because if you know how to live, you might be dipping your taco into chips for a good life hack there. Probably for you, Emily. I think that if you're not doing that, you really should.
It's I put queso and bacon or everything.
So what we realized from a behavior standpoint is it was something as simple as guests were ordering it because that was lower than in their order. They ordered their taco and then they'd scroll down and be like, oh yeah, I want to order queso too. And in their heads, they were getting queso with chips. A simple tweak by moving the no chips in the description to the title, queso no chips, made a world of difference right away. And then those are a couple behind the scenes things that we did.
Right.
And then operationally, we looked at it and we said, you know what we can do even better is we fix those two big issues. Now let's just make sure we're catching everything. And it was to add back in ticket scribing, which is a simple part of the process. We're already checking it. Let's just make sure we're tallying that off. So we're doing that check, double check for ourselves. And we've really seen that improve from there. And so like that's like those just a couple of small tweaks and changes. Now, are we perfect every time? No, but that made a world of difference. And it was a couple of small tweaks. And we took our team and we did a refull training for ticket scribing and really dug into that. But it was just some small tweaks and the small changes to what we're doing that made the world of difference. I mean, the other thing that I would say, yeah, go ahead.
No, keep going. Go ahead.
No, the other thing I would say is, listening to the guests and taking action. I'll just put this out there from a menu standpoint. Yes, we are listening. Yes, we hear you. We know how much you love tacos like the Scallywag, you're welcome, last month, and how much you love tacos like the Tokyo Drifter, and how much you love some Like It Hot back when we had it back in the day. So we also heard you when you said how much you loved our April Fool's prank taco that we did, just a few days ago. We heard all of that. So don't worry, we're listening on that one.
I love that. Yeah, that's the number one, obviously, is that you guys are listening. And so being able to do that, and I'm going to kind of wind this into a question that's come up on this Q&A. So thank you to those that are putting in Q&A questions, and we're going to get to them either now or at the end, depending on how I can do that. But feel free to use that box to do it. But the question is, are you consolidating all guest feedback into one tool, as in Yelp and Google? And I at least can answer that. So yes, they're using GuestXM, our guest intelligence product, which does bring all of those together, including Instagram and Facebook and really any source that you have. And you actually have surveys as well that you bring into your guest feedback. So tell me about how this is a little bit off of our normal questions that we've done, but like getting into the data that's coming in that feedback section of just kind of open-ended. What's that one kind of thing that you've heard over and over again that you wish that you could fix, or you're like, no, that's just who the brand is? Or is there some just like really weird tidbit that people, maybe you've already said it, maybe it's actually, we're listening, we know you like this taco, maybe that's really ultimately what it is. But how valuable is that open-ended feedback as opposed to just the questions that you ask within the survey?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, I will say when we made the switch to GuestXM, because before that we were actually in multiple platforms that, I mean, to be honest, for the guest relations team at headquarters they had like 5 windows open bouncing between multiple places. And for our operators, like you all know, we were all operators, boots on the ground at one point. We're busy people. Like bringing everything into one spot, it's hard to go and bring all those together. So that's why we went with the tool. Not just because, Emily and the team are great people, but like that made a world of difference for us. So, I mean, yes, one of the big things that we always hear and that we, are always getting is, that feedback directly from the guests. What I will say is when you think about, well, let me back up for a second. So you mentioned like we do have our Google and Yelp reviews filtered in. We have our social media channels filtered in. We have our guest surveys filtering in, and our contact us form on our website. And so it really has, like I said, consolidated everything into one spot because our guests reach out to us through all of those platforms in different ways, and it's all guest feedback, right? Sometimes it's a simple, I need help, and sometimes it's more of, hey, there's a narrative there. One of the big things that I know, from a Torchy side of things, and folks that work with me and that I partner with internally, and that we've talked about too, is those open-ended questions and actually hearing what the guest has to say is the most important thing that we have, right? I know all of us talk about, our average star rating, or, hey, what was my score here? All of those things. Look, I'm not going to say that scores don't matter and that those numbers don't matter, because they do. But the way more important part is that you're actually breaking down and seeing what got you that score. That's the thing that matters. It doesn't matter if it was a 4-star, a 2-star, a 5-star, whatever. What did the guest tell you made a difference between it being a great visit and a not so great visit? Because that's the part that matters. That's the part you can take action on. You can't take action on a 5-star rating. I don't know what to do with that. It just says 5. Great. What did the guests say? Take action on it and commit to doing that.
But you put it that way because, at BBI, we talk so much about an average star rating, a lifetime average star rating, and that beautiful linear relationship it has with AUV. And so, the higher level of the ASR, then the higher AUV that you have. So we have this like great data that supports that. Yeah. But then it's like, well, but where's the smoke? There's fire situation. So, for those that don't know, let me take it a step.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, let me take it a step further, just to kind of piggyback off of that too. Is that if you chase the number, that's not the thing that makes the difference. You focus on those comments, because those are the behaviors that we have to always constantly remind ourselves, right? Is that star rating is a result of the behaviors that we have going on, those positive behaviors, fixing those negative behaviors, or digging into those root causes of what we're being told. That's the measurement piece. Don't just chase the number, you chase the behavior And then that number and that star rating is the result, right? And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like,
no,
that's the part that makes the difference. I'm letting you speak because
you're speaking truth, friend. Absolutely, it's 100% true. And
yeah.
And I know that so we only have a few minutes left. So I know that you've been introduced recently to our top focus points, which is where you're able to like bubble up all of those great data. So you do see where, there's an increase in missing items for to-go items and things like that. So I love that you guys have been able to operationalize it so much. So one last question before we do wrap it up, this is one that Andy, our CMO, has come up with that I think I'm going to use in every one of these, which is you've been in the industry, you've kind of grown up in this industry, maybe left us for a while and came back. But what's that one thing that you were told that you want people to know as well? That one piece of advice that feel like you've been able to succeed because of?
I guess we should always, and this is kind of like all across the board, is like, do you really care? Do you actually care? Because if the answer is no, you're doing the wrong thing. And if the answer is yes, you do care, then you're going to take action on that. And I think something throughout my career, like that's the part that matters, right? From really digging into the hospitality piece and listening to our guests, when we kind of really realigned and took a look at, hey, how can we make a difference in people's lives? How can we add value to their experience? Was, hey, if we listen to the guests, do we really care? And I don't mean like, yeah, we care what our guests say. Like, do we really care? And is it going to make a difference to us? And so for me, that's really always the question that I kind of go forward with throughout. And the other thing is that goes along with that, and I think ties in really well, is being committed to something. So whether that's commitment yourself or really gaining the commitment across the board to support, right? Because here's the deal. None of the good things that happen in our industry happen because of a strategy or one person did something or whatever. It really, really takes commitment from leadership to support the team, right? From HQ teams supporting the guests, supporting our operators directly, and a commitment from our operators to buy into taking care of the guests, right? So, if you're doing something that you're not fully committed to, then you should maybe be doing something else. And I don't mean that as a negative way. I mean that as a positive, right? If you truly are bought in and believing in it, then you're going to do great with it. If you're not, you might just go through the motion and that won't be authentic.
It's so true. So thank you to everybody that joined. Brandon, again, thank you for your time. And I'm going to start lobbying for a part 2 now.
I'm down if you're down, Emily.
Always.
Thanks, everyone.
Always. Thanks, friend.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Lessons from the Field. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps others like you discover the lessons and grow along with us. For more resources, insights, and behind-the-scenes content, check out Black Box Intelligence